been in the last 4 years going out more proactively and speaking to people. So just in the last 4 years, I've spoken to 10,000 people face to face on various issues, because it's not enough for us as scholars to write our stuff and put it into the drawer and publish it somewhere. It's very important for us to go out and explain. So I see that as a role that I have to play as a citizen. I've lived in the Netherlands for the last 35 years, so I have been confronting this topic of intergenerational justice in relation to climate change for the last 35 years. It's sort of the topic I worked on in my thesis. One has to confront it, because when you go to the developing world and there is no carbon budget left and they want to use their fossil fuel, you can't ask them not to use it when you yourself in the North are using it. So this creates that tension. And so it's really important for us to bring this topic up over and over again. And that is also why I was talking about the just boundary and the safe boundary. I think that the questions were very enlightening this evening, because I got a range of questions from people about how would you actually implement the ideas that we had and how practical is it and how can you mobilize people. So most of the questions were around the issue of how do you create a support for these ideas and how do you get these ideas to move center stage. So that was really very, very useful for me to talk about. I'm hoping that the people over here will discuss it a little bit more. I have done some follow-up meetings with some of the people who are here today so that we can have more focused discussions about how to take the narrative further. But I'm also inviting everybody here to participate in my Global Constitution, globalconstitution.org, and then they can write an essay, and then we can collect that and make it richer in terms of scientific underpinning of the thoughts that they have. So I think at every meeting I go to, there are at least a bunch of people that then take that conversation a step further.
Yes, thank you again for sticking around. Out of everything that you just heard today, what is the biggest takeaways that really stuck with you?
I think the first thing was the 78% of the fossil fuel is actually in the global south. Coming from these countries, I do understand that using basically these resources to develop and industrialize the same way the north has actually developed, it's kind of a fair right. A lot of things that we discussed actually today triggered like more and more questions and things that I would love to kind of research a little bit further.
Public interest has a very important role within the universities as well, and we have had a continuous discussion over fossil fuel and its place within the university, and we are still at the stage of we are avoiding greenwashing when we can, and I'm very happy to see that Joyeeta Gupta is also placing the public interest at the center of how the universities are socially and institutionally constructed.
So first of all, I found it really important to get all of this wealth of information about the scientific basis, which needs to inform us lawyers what to do, because we need to get started right away. And specifically for me, interesting, I found the different definitions of justice, because as a lawyer, we have a specific understanding of what justice means. But Professor Gupta gave us so many different types of justice: transformative justice, responsive justice. So I think all of these different types of justice need to inform the lawyer looking forward in order to do something against climate change.
Such an inspiring lecturer, because the first person I met in Netherlands said about the WIHI is not just about the climate mitigation obligations, not just about the cutting fossil fuels, but it's also the root cause of the problem is about the injustice climate system behind that of the phenomenon.
If you could influence the contents of a global constitution, what is the one major idea that you absolutely want to see included?
One of the elements of the global constitution would also be regulating the markets, because the markets are not going to bring the solutions of climate change, and how the space of capital should be shrinking in order to make more space for civil engagements and for keeping the fossil fuel in the ground.
I mean, the climate injustice influence the adaptations obligations. It's not just about the obligation of mitigation, but it's all about the adaptation, because the injustice actually exists not only in among the states, but also about the people. It's about the human rights, about the human issues.
Somehow the United Nations or even the International Court of Justice, they were kind of a first approach towards like having this global law. So maybe we're just trying to kind of fix them, and we put this label of like a new global constitution. They don't have any enforcement. They cannot really enforce all the laws that they have. So maybe what could go hand in hand with this global institution is to really make sure that we really, we can execute these judgments that came from these organizations.
We need to include in the international criminal legal field specific crime of ecocide, which people are already talking about. Because this would really make clear to actors that if they contravene the science and go against climate injustice, then they will actually be responsible in a criminal sense.